Imagine stepping onto a sun-kissed paradise where golden beaches meet lush forests teeming with life and a welcoming people greet you with open arms, only for that Eden to transform into a blood-soaked nightmare, where an entire civilization is wiped from the earth in a matter of decades. What if the man hailed as a heroic explorer was actually the architect of one of history's most brutal genocides? Hi, history lovers, I'm here to bring you the harrowing tale of the Taino people, the indigenous inhabitants of Hispaniola, whose vibrant culture was annihilated in the 1490s following Christopher Columbus's arrival. Sokos. This isn't just a story of discovery, it's a tragic saga of disease, slavery, and massacres that erased a society of hundreds of thousands, leaving behind ghosts that haunt our understanding of the New World. But was this inevitable, or a deliberate act of erasure? Stay tuned as I uncover the forgotten horrors, drawing from eyewitness accounts and archaeological whispers. If you love diving into the dark corners of history, hit subscribe now for more shocking revelations like this. To truly grasp the annihilation of the Taino, we must journey back to the late 15th century, a time when Europe was ablaze with ambition, driven by the age of exploration. Spain, under the Catholic monarchs, Ferdinand and Isabella sought new trade routes to Asia, riches to fund their wars, and souls to convert in the name of Christianity. Enter Christopher Columbus, an Italian navigator obsessed with reaching the Indies by sailing west. Sponsored by the Spanish crown, he set sail in 1492 with 3 ships, the Nina, Pinta, and Santa Maria, crossing the Atlantic in a voyage that would forever alter the world. But let's paint the scene of what he found. Hispaniola, the island now shared by Haiti and the Dominican Republic, was a tropical haven. The Taino people, part of the Arawak language group, had thrived there for centuries, migrating from South America around 1200 AD. Their society was sophisticated, organized into chiefdoms called cacicazgos, ruled by caciques or chiefs, with a population estimated between 100,000 and 500,000 on Hispaniola alone. They lived in circular thatched huts called yucayeques, farmed cassava, maize, and sweet potatoes using advanced techniques like canuco mounds for irrigation, and crafted intricate pottery, gold ornaments, and woven hammocks. Spiritually, they revered Zemis, stone idols representing gods, and played ceremonial ball games on courts called beites. As one Spanish chronicler, Gonzalo Fernández de Oviedo, later described in his Historia General y Natural de las Indias, the Taino were gentle and peaceable people, without malice or guile. Columbus himself, in his letter to Ferdinand and Isabella, upon returning from his first voyage, marveled at their hospitality. They are very gentle and without knowledge of what is evil, nor do they murder or steal. Your Highnesses may believe that in all the world there can be no better people. Yet, this admiration was laced with exploitation. He saw them not as equals, but as potential converts and laborers. Myths abound here. Popular tales claim Columbus was a benevolent discoverer who civilized savages, but primary sources debunk this. Bartolomé de las Casas, a Dominican friar who arrived in 1502 and became the Taino's fierce advocate, wrote in his A Short Account of the Destruction of the Indies that Columbus viewed them as slaves from the start, noting how he kidnapped several on his first voyage to present to the Spanish court. The political context was ripe for tragedy. Spain's recent Reconquista had expelled Muslims and Jews, fostering a crusading zeal that justified conquest. Columbus's family ties, his brother Bartolomeo would later govern Hispaniola, amplified the greed. Foreshadowing the doom, archaeological remains from sites like La Isabela, Columbus's first settlement, reveal mass graves hinting at early violence and disease. From the moment Columbus planted his flag on October 12, 1492, claiming the land for Spain, The Taino's fate was sealed in a clash of worlds where European ambition met indigenous innocence. Now, let's trace the chilling chronology of how paradise descended into hell, building the drama step by step through Columbus's voyages and the systematic destruction that followed. Picture this. On December 5th, 1492, Columbus first sights Hispaniola, which the Taino called Ayiti, or Bohio, meaning land of mountains. Greeted by the cacique Guacanagari, who offered gold and food, Columbus is enchanted, but his journal reveals darker intentions. I could conquer the whole of them with 50 men and govern them as I pleased. He leaves 39 men at a fort called La Navidad and sails home, but upon returning in 1493 with 17 ships and 200 settlers, he finds the fort destroyed and his men killed, likely due to their abuses against Taino women and resources. This sparks the first key event, the establishment of La Isabela, Spain's first permanent New World colony. But tensions erupt. Columbus demands tribute, gold or cotton, from every Taino over 14, enforcing it with brutal amputations for non-compliance. As Las Casas recounts, they suffered and died in the mines and other labors in desperate silence, knowing not a soul in the world to whom they could turn for help. By 1494, open warfare begins. The Battle of Vega Real sees Spanish forces, armed with guns, horses, and dogs, crush a Taino alliance of 5 caciques. Thousands are massacred. Survivors are enslaved under the repartimiento system, dividing them among colonists like property. Disease compounds the horror. Europeans unwittingly bring smallpox, measles, and influenza. Diseases to which the Taino had no immunity. Archaeological evidence from burial sites shows rapid depopulation. One mass grave in Haiti reveals skeletons with pockmarked bones indicative of smallpox. By 1496, Las Casas estimates 2/3 of the Taino are dead from illness alone. But it gets worse. Columbus, facing rebellion from his own men, ships 500 Taino slaves to Spain in 1495, where Queen Isabella decries it as immoral. Yet the practice continues. In his third voyage, 1498, Columbus returns to find chaos. His brother Bartolomeo has moved the capital to Santo Domingo. Accused of tyranny, Columbus is arrested and sent back in chains, but the crown appoints Nicolás de Ovando as governor in 1502. Ovando escalates the genocide. At the massacre of Jaragua in 1503, he invites Cacica Anacaona to a feast, then burns her village, hanging her as a rebel. Las Casas vividly describes, "They set fire to the houses, and those who escaped the flames were put to the sword." Encomienda systems forced Taino into gold mines. Overwork, starvation, and suicide ravaged them. Women, raped and separated from families, resort to infanticide to spare children slavery. By Columbus's fourth voyage, 1502 to 1504, resistance wanes. The Taino, once farmers and artisans, are reduced to ghosts. Population plummets from perhaps 400,000 to 60,000 by 1508. Politically, ambition drove this. Columbus sought titles and wealth, promising the crown endless gold. The impact? A culture's erasure. Language lost, save words like hurricane and barbecue. Traditions vanished. But the brutality peaks next. The climax of this tragedy unfolds in a crescendo of unrelenting horror, where disease, slavery, and deliberate massacres converge to deliver the final blow to the Taino. By 1509, under Ovando's successor, Diego Colon, Columbus's son, the remaining Taino launched desperate uprisings, like the revolt led by Cacique Enriquillo in the Bajoruco Mountains.
from 1519 to 1533. But these are futile gasps. Spanish crossbows and mastiffs tear through flesh, leaving rivers red with blood. Las Casas, an eyewitness turned reformer, laments in his writings, "The Christians, with their horses and swords and lances, began to slaughter and practice strange cruelties among them. They penetrated into the country and spared neither children nor the aged, nor pregnant women."
Baby. The ultimate tragedy strikes through the invisible killer. Epidemics. Smallpox arrives in 1518, sweeping Hispaniola like a biblical plague. Skeletal remains from contact-era sites show lesions and deformities, confirming the agony, fever, pustules bursting on skin, blindness, death. Entire villages empty overnight. Survivors, weakened, succumb to famine as fields go untended. Was it intentional? Some historians speculate Europeans knew of the disease's lethality, using infected blankets as weapons, a precursor to later colonial tactics, but evidence is circumstantial. Las Casas accuses God made the Spaniards, plagued as they were by so many calamities, the executioners of these innocent peoples. Slavery seals the extinction. In mines like those at Concepcion, Taino toil in chains, backs breaking under quotas. Suicide becomes epidemic. Mothers poison infants with cassava juice to end lineages of suffering. By 1548, a census counts only 500 Taino. Intermarriage with Africans and Spaniards dilutes bloodlines further. The last pure Taino communities flee to remote caves, their echoes fading. Mysteries linger. Was Columbus directly responsible for massacres, or just the spark? His logs boast of subjugating them, but Las Casas blames systemic greed. In the end, by the mid-1500s, the Taino are functionally extinct. No more Beatty games, no Zemi rituals, just silence. Their death wasn't swift. It was a prolonged scream, echoing the screams of women thrown to dogs, children dashed against rocks.
Heart-wrenching, isn't it? How could such vibrancy vanish so completely? The legacy of the Taino's annihilation is a haunting cautionary tale, reshaping history and urging us to remember erased voices. This genocide paved the way for the transatlantic slave trade. With Taino labor decimated, Spaniards imported Africans, fueling centuries of bondage that built empires on broken backs. Modern Hispaniola bears scars, Haiti's poverty, the Dominican Republic's indigenous denial, yet Taino DNA persists in up to 15 to 18% of islanders, per genetic studies, a whisper of resilience. In pop culture, myths glorify Columbus as hero, with holidays and statues, but Las Casas' accounts inspired the Black legend of Spanish cruelty, influencing anti-colonial movements. Hollywood often romanticizes, like in 1492, Conquest of Paradise, ignoring the gore, debunked by archaeology showing fortified villages post-contact. In my opinion, this tragedy highlights ambition's cost. Columbus's discovery was a death sentence, teaching us that progress built on genocide is no progress at all. What do you think? Does remembering the Taino change how we view exploration? Comment below. Chatko. In the end, the Taino's tragic end, from thriving paradise to forgotten graveyard, serves as a stark reminder of colonialism's brutal toll, where greed silenced a people's songs forever. Their lost legacy calls us to honor Indigenous stories, lest history repeat its horrors. Thanks for joining me on this emotional journey through the shadows of the past. Keep exploring history, for in its darkest chapters lie the greatest lessons. If this moved you, like the video, subscribe for more gripping tales of royal tragedies and forgotten atrocities, and hit the bell to never miss an upload. Share your thoughts in the comments. Should Columbus Day be renamed? Check my playlists on Tudor scandals or Habsburg inbreeding for more, and support the channel on Patreon, link in description for bonus content. Next time, we'll uncover the cursed lineage of a deformed king. Stay tuned. Until then, keep learning.